Medieval artwork depicts a red-faced, angry God of wrath. Some modern sceptics describe the God of the Bible as a sadistic, vindictive and violent bully. And Bruce Almighty, in the film that bears his name, says, "Smite me, O Mighty Smiter." So, is the Christian God really just a power-hungry, angry, smiting machine? Well, let's look at an example from the Old Testament of the Bible. You might have heard the first half of this story before. God sends a guy called Jonah to preach in a city called Nineveh. But Jonah goes in the opposite direction. He gets on a boat, and so God sends a storm. He gets chucked overboard, and so God sends a giant fish which swallows him and vomits him back up on shore, back where he started, back to square one. But the bit we don't often hear is what happened next. Some background. Nineveh was a big, bustling, important city, but it was also a wicked place, full of evil. And Jonah was sent to preach, to warn the people that God's patience and tolerance was about to run out. God's judgment was coming. So what happens next? Well, Jonah actually went for a start. He learnt his lesson. And the people of Nineveh actually listened to him. They actually changed their lives around and said sorry to God. And God relented. He accepted their apology and he forgave them. And no lightning bolts were wasted. And then, right at the end of the story, we discover the real reason why Jonah went in the opposite direction in the first place. See, Jonah knew Nineveh, and he thought they deserved to be smited. He thought they deserved to be wiped out rather than forgiven. But God forgave them. Outrageous. Maybe how we would feel if God forgave serial killers or terrorists. It's outrageous. And at the end of the story, Jonah complains to God, saying, "I knew it. I knew you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love, a God who relents from sending calamity." Jonah hit the nail on the head. That is the Christian God, in both Old Testament and New Testament. A God who relents from sending calamity. A God who takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. A God who is slow to anger and abounding in love. In fact, the Bible paints a picture of God as more patient than we are. He is more willing to forgive than us. Sometimes God does intervene in judgment, and it's difficult to swallow. Sometimes I find it difficult to swallow, but I take hope from the fact that it's always preceded by a messenger like Jonah, or by a warning and the offer to receive mercy, to receive deliverance from the judgment that's deserved. I take hope from the fact that God only intervenes in judgment after he has intervened with the offer of mercy. And ultimately, the cross is God intervening this way. It's Jesus saying, "Don't smite them, smite me." We deserved judgment, but if we accept Jesus, we receive mercy. God is patient with us. He does not want anyone to be destroyed by judgment, and so he gives everyone the space and time to change their mind, to accept Jesus, and to choose life with him.